Hey guys, so I've been promising you this video for a really long time. I apologize, but when it comes to skincare, I really like to use the products for a really long time. My skin tends to be very moody, and it can like something for the first couple of weeks I use it, and then it may not like it after that, or it may start to develop, some issues, and it takes a while for me to kind of pinpoint what it is. Anyway, when I do want to give you like a full review on skincare, I need to use the products for a while. So today we're going to be talking about KYPRIS. This is a brand that I've been talking about for a long time on and off. I talked about them during my morning skincare routine, which reminds me I owe you an evening skincare routine. That is also coming up this month as well. But I really wanted to spotlight KYPRIS because I think they are a wonderful company and a wonderful brand. And when it comes to skincare, what I want to mention first and foremost is I'm not a dermatologist. I'm not an esthetician. I am not what I like to call a power user. Like I'm not like a Stephanie Nicole or Jen Loves Reviews where I go in super deep with ingredients because I have very sensitive skin, and generally ingredients can typically work for this skin type or typically not work for this skin type. I just have to try it for myself. I have tried things that sensitive skin people shouldn't use, and it's worked great on me. So for me, I just like to experiment. I just really like to try products. Of course, I like to know like a general sense about ingredients and things like that. But for me, I think experience and playing with the products yourself is the absolute most important. The other thing I want to mention is I do have very dry, sensitive skin. It's eczema prone, and I am 45 years old, so I have a more mature skin type. And so that is my perspective. That is where I am coming from. So I also wanted to mention that as well. And lastly, I just want to kind of continue on what I was mentioning before about, experimenting and trying things for yourself. Every time I put out a skincare routine, everyone has their own way of applying things, the order that they apply things, how things work for them. People have very strong opinions when it comes to skincare. So I can't reiterate enough that what I'm sharing with you is my experience, is what works for me. And I really just encourage you to play around with skincare a little bit. All right, so all the boring stuff is out of the way. Let me go ahead and talk about the products that I have. And actually, let's start with a little bit about the company. So KYPRIS is an organic skincare company. They are based here in the US. Many of their ingredients are wildcrafted. They also like to work with co-ops, small farms. Like their company isn't just about like, let's just get organic ingredients. What they're really doing is sort of supporting this community that is able to provide these ingredients in a sustainable way as well. So I applaud them for that. I don't think that this is an easy thing to do. Products like this just aren't developed that quickly. Smaller farmers just don't have that capacity. And I'm really impressed with their dedication in not only making sure that their ingredients are great, but also, feeding this community and working with smaller farmers and co-ops and things like that. So I will leave a link to the KYPRIS site down below. You can read all about the founder and a little bit more about the company if you would like, and also take a look at the full range of products that they offer. So I'm going to be talking about 6 products from KYPRIS that I have been playing with for a very long time. They have a very curated capsule kind of collection of skincare. It's not a lot, it's not overwhelming, and on their site you can actually search for products that work for your particular skin type. I'm going to talk about the products in the order that I received and started using them. So KYPRIS was actually kind enough in sending me this Cerulean Soothing Hydration Recovery Mask. And this was my introduction to the line. I didn't know much about them except that some of my favorite YouTubers talked about them. I saw them at Nordstrom, but I had never taken the plunge and actually purchased anything from them. So when they sent this over to me, it was right before I was taking a trip to New York, I remember, and I was talking to the rep over at KYPRIS, and she said, oh, what perfect timing, because I love using this mask after I take a plane ride because it's soothing, it's calming, it's hydrating, it's all the things that you want after being on a plane and after traveling. So I thought, okay, I packed this in my bag. I got to my hotel in New York and I washed my face and I put this on, and she could not have been more right. It has this like gel-like consistency, and wow, I've used quite a bit of this actually. So as soon as you put it on, it feels very cooling, which is awesome. My skin tends to be, I don't know, hot, angry. It can be very angry. it's eczema prone, so I feel like I get these like hot patches in my face. This was soothing, it's cooling, and most of all, it was just really, really calming. I loved like the spa experience that I got from this immediately. It smells like the spa. It just smells like a mixture of like the spa and the sea. Oh, it's so refreshing. I mean, it's like pure aromatherapy just sitting here sniffing this mask. And like I said, it has this like gel-like consistency. So when you put it on, it's just kind of clear. It's a little bit, you know, tacky. It has that like gel texture to it. And I just leave it on for probably a lot longer than I need to. I think they recommend maybe like 20 minutes or so. Whenever I travel, I will leave this on. I'll just kind of like lay down on the bed and like close my eyes and I'll leave this on. So I probably leave it on for about 30 minutes. I take like a little power nap. Whenever I travel, I need to power nap. I'm a terrible traveler. So this has been amazing. Of course, I use this when I don't travel as well. I have a lot of masks that I use if I just feel like my skin, I don't know, feels a little dry, or maybe I feel like my skin's like a little bit dehydrated. I have masks for that. They're generally sort of like pumped up creams, but this mask I feel like is like my rescue mask. This is the mask that I reach for if I feel like, oh, my skin is feeling angry, if I need a little bit of calming and that cooling and soothing sensation. It's like not only good for my skin and my face, this is like the mask I put on if I want to like rest, if I want to kind of like refocus myself. This is the mask that I reach for. It kind of is like a full body experience. I just love it. So that is the Cerulean Soothing Hydration Recovery Mask. From what I just said, I'm sure you realize why I was so intrigued by the rest of the brand. So I contacted the rep again and I said, I love that mask. You could not have been more right. What else do you suggest for dry, sensitive skin? So they sent over this Beauty Elixir 1. This is the 1000 Roses. It's a moisturizing multi-active beauty oil. So at the time I was going through a different oil, which I can't even remember. And when they sent this over to me, there were some like included, you know, information cards and things like that. And they were talking about how this is a great mixture with some of their serums. So I started to look into it, and before I even started using this, I went ahead and I purchased myself this antioxidant dew. This is a Quench and Glow serum. And what was on their information card basically was how these are a great pair. There's like 3 or 4 different versions of their serum and maybe 3 versions of their oil. And you can kind of concoct what works best for your skin type. So since I have dry skin and sensitive skin, I thought that this one would be the best pairing for this. So what I have been doing, and you guys can see I'm almost done with this, and I'm just past halfway with this oil. You only need 2 drops because this oil is very, very concentrated. So what I'll use is like 4 or 5 drops of this serum, and I'll use 2 drops of this oil. I will mix it together, and I do this in the morning. So I mentioned these products in my morning skincare routine. So after I cleanse, tone, and use this like essential lotion from Sicily, what I'll do is I will combine these two. I'll just sort of warm them up in my hands. I'll mix them together in my hands, and then I will spread it all over my face and down my neck. And when I first started using this, I found them to be very pleasant. They didn't irritate my skin at all, which is sort of the first thing I look for because I have such sensitive skin. I'm always like on the lookout, like, do I see an eczema patch popping up, or do I see a little rash, or I have these like red bumps down here, like do those start to become inflamed? And what I actually noticed was that these red bumps down here actually started to become less red. And admittedly, I probably didn't notice it that much until I stopped using this. So I was using this every single day and probably for about a couple weeks, and then I went on a trip. And I didn't pack these because they're glass bottles, and I thought, oh, well, whatever, you know, they're nice, but no big deal. Big deal. So on my trip, I was probably away for about a week at that point. All of a sudden I started to notice that the redness down here on my face was getting redder. And I thought, oh, well, maybe it's the trip, or, you know, maybe it's just the traveling and this and that. And of course I had my mask with me. This I traveled with. I had my mask with me, and this helped a little bit, but I felt like on the daily, this was a little bit pinker than usual. So when I got home, I started putting this back into my daily skincare routine, and I noticed that my skin was just so much calmer. It was like within the next day, I noticed that this area was like a very soft pink versus like a pink red. and I thought it's got to be this product. And I think I mentioned this in my morning skincare routine, but a lot of times I don't realize how much I like a skincare product until I stop using it. And that was the case with this. I was using it, okay, my skin looks nice, you know, whatever. And it was only until I stopped using it when I was away did I realize, oh, how much I missed it and how much an effect it had on my skin. Again, it's just soothing to my skin. So much of my skincare, because I have dry skin, is just about moisturization. It's just about, you know, plumping up my skin, making sure that it's supple, making sure that, you know, I'm keeping fine lines away. Where these products, along with this mask, has really come in to calm my skin, to soothe it, and to balance it. I guess that's kind of like a better way to put it. It just kind of has like balanced my skin. My skin doesn't feel quite as hot. My eczema has been like fairly under control. I don't think that these products has like cured my eczema. I won't go so far as to say that. Again, I'm not a dermatologist. I do think my eczema has calmed a lot since I've gotten older, but these products definitely have not like brought out my eczema in any way. They haven't created any rashes or anything like that for my sensitive skin, which a lot of skincare products do. So I love using these in the morning time, and I especially like using these during the daytime because they absorb into my skin like fairly quickly, and I like that since, you know, I kind of want to get going. I just want to go ahead and move on to moisturizing and then put my makeup on, and I don't want too much skincare just sort of sitting on top of my skin. So I love this combination. I love using it during the day, and if you have angry skin like mine, I think you will really, really enjoy this. But don't forget to check out their site because, like I mentioned, there's different varieties of both of these, and you'll want to kind of concoct what works best for your skin type. And so after falling in love with those three products, I again went back to KYPRIS and I said, basically, like, what else do you have for me? I said, is there anything else that you recommend for dry, sensitive skin? Because I said, your products are really blowing me away. They're really doing something for my skin that most other skincare products don't do. So they went ahead and sent me the cleanser concentrate, and I'm just about done with this. This is my like my morning cleanse. Again, it has the most wonderful spa-like scent. Anytime I open up their products, I feel like I have to like do a whole like aromatherapy moment with it. Oh, it smells great. So this is one of my morning cleansers. I have to admit, I have a couple of morning cleansers just because I'm trying to get through a bunch. But this is one that I will use in the morning. I have also used this at night actually, but I like using this in the morning probably because of this scent. It just kind of wakes me up. So I will put this onto dry skin. I'll just spread it all over. It has a real like cream-like consistency. And when I first got this product, I noticed that there were little like hard bits in there. So I contacted KYPRIS and I just said, oh, just curious about what those are. Are those like exfoliating beads? Because it didn't seem like there were enough of those, but I just didn't know what it was. But because they use organic ingredients and unrefined, unprocessed ingredients, that is basically some of the oils. So when the temperature changes, if it's an unrefined, unprocessed oil, it basically hardens. And then, you know, as soon as you start to like massage it onto your skin, or once it kind of heats up again, it melts right away. So if you have this and you're wondering, or if you do get this and you're wondering what those bits are, that's what it is. It's just unrefined, unprocessed oil that has been cooled. So I'll put this onto dry skin, I'll jump into the shower, and then I'll just basically rinse it off. And I think what I love the most about this cleanser is it is obviously very moisturizing. You can tell by the texture that it's very, very creamy. And I have to say, one of the struggles I've had with having dry skin is cleansers. Most cleansers that make you feel clean are stripping. Like, you get that squeaky clean feeling, but it's not good. It's probably not good for any kind of skin, but especially not good for dry skin. And anytime I use cleansers that are good for dry skin, I always feel like I'm just like spreading lotion on my face, and it just feels too moisturized when I'm done. Like, I need to feel clean. I need to feel moisturized. I don't want to feel stripped, but I also need to feel clean. And that's what this cleanser gives me. It's that perfect balance between like moisturizing my skin, but making it feel clean all at the same time. So that's the cleanser concentrate. Absolutely love it. I'm so glad that they sent this over to me. So that was the next thing I tried. And then at that same time, they also sent over the body elixir. And this was something I requested because when I started talking about KYPRIS on my channel, so many of you asked me like, can you please try the body elixir? Can you try the body elixir? And I have incredibly dry shins. It is probably the drier than my face. It is probably the driest part on my body. My body skin is dry, just like my face, but there's something about like the fronts of my shins that just no matter what I do, I just always have lizard skin. It's always flaking. I've dry brushed, I exfoliate, all those things. So I still do all those things because I have to exfoliate, I have to get that dead skin off. And I've tried so many moisturizers that feel great in the beginning, but by the time I go to bed, you know, if I shower in the morning, by the time I go to bed and, you know, and I'm changing to put my pajamas on, I'll notice that I have lizard skin again. And I've just come to live with it. I'm like, okay, that's just how dry my skin is going to be. I'm just going to have to double moisturize or whatever. But I have noticed that over time, I don't want to say that as soon as I started using this, my dry skin was cleared. But over time, I want to say that this has made my shin skin better. It is much less lizardy at the end of the day. I do have to use this consistently, which you can tell I have. I'm almost done with this bottle. And I don't need a lot. It is a pretty thick consistency, and I'll warm it up in my hands, and then I'll just like put it up and down my shins, and then I'll add a little bit more to my hands, and then I'll just kind of put it over the rest of my body. I should mention, again, this has the most amazing fresh scent. You know, if I were to describe the scent in colors, it's like a green yellow scent, slightly citrusy, but very grassy, very leafy. It has a fresh organic scent, and it's just wonderful. Again, it's very, very invigorating, and I love putting this on after the shower. It feels so good. So while my skin is kind of like towel dry, slightly damp, I'll put this on the way I just described. And yeah, and like I said, I feel like over time, it has really helped my skin become more moisture or retain more moisture. I feel like that's the problem with my shin skin, is that it feels like the moisture is just like evaporating from it. And I feel like this has helped, like maybe the barrier of my skin down there. It's just made it a lot healthier. So I'm really happy with this body elixir. And like I said, it's very thick, so you don't need that much of it. So that has really helped my body skin. And finally, they sent over the Pot of Shade Helio Tropic Broad Spectrum SPF 30 sunscreen and primer. So this is the newest product from KYPRIS that I have added to my collection. And this is actually what kind of held up this video, because I really wanted to give this a shot. And I was traveling so much the past couple of weeks that I just didn't get a chance to, like, you know, use this. And I didn't take it with me because it has a glass pot. So you'll probably tell that I haven't used that much of this. But I've been trying to read up more on sunscreens. And the more I read, the more I want to stay away from any kind of chemical sunscreen. And in the past, chemical sunscreen is unfortunately what has worked with my skin. It has been mineral physical sunscreens that have always, I don't know, bothered my skin. Anyway, I've always had problems with physical sunscreens and my sensitive skin. And so I've always kind of opted for either mixtures or ones with chemical sunscreen. Of course, that wasn't a rule. Again, it's like I just had to try the stuff. Sometimes some worked, sometimes some didn't. So when they sent this over to me and I saw that it was zinc oxide, which is a physical sunscreen, I got a little bit nervous. So I started out kind of small. I was putting just a little bit on, you know, just my cheeks, a little bit on my forehead, just to kind of like see how it was going to go. And it was great. My skin did not react to it at all, and it seemed to jive really well with my skin. So then after a couple of days of that, then I started using like a full face of it. And it's zinc oxide, so I'm not gonna lie, you can definitely feel it on your fingers, but I don't really feel it that much on my face. If you put a lot of it on, you will see a little bit of a white cast. Again, it's zinc oxide. There's only so much you can do with it. But I do like to use this as a primer. So I will put like a thin layer of this on, and I know that's probably not enough to get the SPF 30 that this says. I think the SPF count is according to like a half a teaspoon, and that is a lot of product, especially when you're going to be using other products with SPF. So I want to say I probably use like half that amount on my skin, especially if I know if I'm going to be home all day. I don't worry about it too much. If I know I'm going to be out all day, which is very, very rare, I will layer this with probably something with an even higher SPF in there. But in terms of a primer and everyday use, I will put like a nice, you know, solid thin layer on. And for me, this is probably the most exceptional texture in terms of a zinc oxide sunscreen. It is smooth, it's moisturizing without being too greasy. And if I use like a little bit too much in an area, I will see like a little bit of the white cast, but it's not super chalky like a lot of other sunscreens that I've used. It just almost looks like you've put on like a brightening primer. It spreads really easily. And while this doesn't have much of a scent, I have found that sunscreen sometimes just smells like sunscreen. It just smells kind of bad. And this not having a scent at all is like amazing. Oh, I should also mention this has not clogged my pores at all. So I'm very, very happy about that. So that is it for this KYPRIS video. I just want to mention that on the KYPRIS site, which I will link down below, they have discovery sets. So if you really don't want to commit to, you know, a large jar of something or a bigger bottle of something, they have these different discovery sets of these like deluxe sample sizes. They, you know, there's sizes that are big enough for at least a couple of uses. They're not like packets or anything. So I highly recommend that, especially because, like I mentioned, I really think you need to play around with skincare. There's only so much you can learn about skincare by reading the ingredients or by listening to me. I think you really just want to try them yourself. You know, you just never know what is going to work for you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Leave any comments down below in the comments section. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.